Hello everybody, Mannix here. Got another little tabletop knife review for you right here, right now. But first, as always, feel free to subscribe, hit that little bell notification if you do not want to miss weekly knife and gun videos. Now, I have reviewed this one a couple of years ago. Got this knife as a gift for somebody else. Found a good deal on it recently, picked one up for myself this time. And I'll be honest, I think it's just okay. Not exactly elated about this one, but it's okay. The Cold Steel Luzon Medium. It's not a bad knife. It's totally acceptable. It's a pretty good EDC knife. It's a pretty good tactical blade. It's a pretty good deal, but compared to all of the other options we have out there these days, stuff coming out of China for even cheaper than this, I just don't see why you would want to pick this one. Now, the Luzon, or Luzon, however you say that, I don't really care. Large. This is an excellent knife. This is one of my favorite tactical blades for the money, actually. It's extremely affordable. In fact, we're going to get into that. It's only about $8 more expensive than this thing. Yeah, I'm not actually joking. Less than 10 bucks more. Look at the size difference there. Medium, large. It's more like small, extra large to me, but these are the only two sizes Cold Steel currently is producing. Just get this one if the design piques your interest at all. Trust me. I think this is a much, much better knife, and it's just a better deal overall. It's already cheap enough as it is. This knife is fantastic. Everything about it for the money. Our medium, it's still a pretty good knife. I mean, if you like the aesthetic of the big one, you just want a smaller one. I mean, you really, really, really like the way it looks. For whatever reason, this is what you're going for. And you want that leaf spring locking mechanism on top of the liner lock, and you want the flipper, you want the ball bearings, you want the plastic pocket clip, and this knife's just too big for you. Yeah, sure, get the medium Luzon. It's not a bad knife. It's just, we're going to get into the reasons as to why I think it's one of Cold Steel's clunkers, to be honest. Let's get some specs out of the way. According to Cold Steel's official website, they're saying this weighs 3.5 ounces, 4-inch blade, 5-inch handle, so we got a 9-inch overall length. Official website is reading 8CR13 MOV as of February 2025. But funny thing, I just got this guy recently. It's not 8CR13 MOV, at least not according to the label I'm seeing on the blade right there, which reads 8CR14 MOV. It's referring to the chromium content. There's 1% more chromium in 8CR14 MOV in comparison to 8CR13 MOV. 8CR13 MOV is just more commonly used, at least was more commonly used, the Spyderco Tenacious line, etc. So this just has a little bit more chromium in there, which means it's going to be a little bit more corrosion and rust resistant. Technically, it's not going to hold its edge as long, but we're not even talking probably like one single pass more or less of cardboard. It's basically not even noticeable. But you could argue it's an upgrade from the 8CR13 MOV. It's still kind of a lower end steel, but just like all Cold Steels, they do a really good heat treatment, really good job grinding the edge on there, really good job sharpening it. It's razor sharp, just like all Cold Steels are. So no problems with it. It's just, I just thought that was funny. I just recently realized that it's 8CR14 MOV, and no website that I know of is saying that that's what they switched to. Maybe that's for 2025 and they just didn't update it on their website. Don't really know. GFN handle scales, steel liners in there, which are aggressively skeletonized. It's a big old rectangular cutouts in there. That's how you skeletonize liners, baby. Those are very, very skeletonized. So they did a pretty good job lightening it up as much as they could. 3.5 ounces for a 4-inch blade is totally solid. If you're watching your weight and all that stuff, I think this is totally reasonable. GFN pocket clip, that's a new one. We haven't seen that in like 25 years. It's interesting how they went with that. Some people actually like this about the Luzons. Some people don't like that about the Luzons. You do you. I don't mind. The advantages to this is that if you're really, really wailing on this thing for whatever reason, it'll wear on your hand less. The metal pocket clips will tend to just kind of ride up in there and be uncomfortable over time. If you're really, really using this hard, we're also going to get into that, and they won't scratch your car or vehicle or anything like that as easily. It's much, much harder for plastic to scratch anything than metal. That's another advantage. It is tip up right hand carry only, not swappable to the left side. They don't give you like a separate clip or anything. Oval lanyard hole in there. It's kind of cool how it matches up with a pocket clip. You know, it's good attention to detail, decent fit and finish for being such a lower price knife. I like the way it looks. I like the sort of concave cutouts we have within the handle scales. As you can see, they're just like the large Luzon. All that stuff still plays. I think it's supposed to mimic bamboo. Pocket clip, it carries great, actually. It's fantastic. I have no issues with this pocket clip. For some reason, I still want the metal. I'm just used to that. But this is kind of an ode to like the old folders from, you know, pre-2000s, mostly. Let's just see how this sucker carries. Boop. That's about what's going to be poking out of your pocket. It's going to carry something like that. It's not the lowest riding. There is a little bit of gleaming on the satin blade right there, as you can see. Some people might think that's a knife. Maybe, maybe not. Don't really know. Extracts are just fine. No issues with that, because the texturing on here is very, very mild. It's not like icy smooth or anything, but it kind of reminds you, the Cold Steel Tough Light, the Pro Light, the Tie Light, all the lights. It's that exact texture, which I really like, actually. There's a little something there, as you can see, but it's not like grippy either. It's right in the sweet spot. Cool lines, it's cool looking. And the whole bamboo thing going on. It's a flipper. There are thumb studs there, although their primary use is to be blade stops, not thumb studs. You can use them that way. Just like that. You just got to dig your thumb in there pretty tight because they're small, but yeah, you can flick it out that way. It's just not the most comfortable to do it that way, but it's up to you. It's primarily, I say, a flipper knife, as you can see. And we have 2 guards. You could wave this off of your pocket, not very easily because there's no jimping or anything right there. It's very smooth and rounded, as you can see. But if you get some practice in there, you could do it. Sure, whatever. It's on ball bearings, by the way. Most Cold Steels are not on ball bearings still, but the Luzons, the Mayhem is too. They're finally catching on to the ball bearing thing. I say it's an upgrade overall. We have a good lockup. It's just enough to fit a human hair for side to side. I crank this sucker down quite a bit. No up and down. Very, very good lockup for liner locks. Totally good. And again, we get that leaf spring lock, which is basically just an obstruction of steel. If you look closely there, see where it appears. Just an obstruction of tempered steel that blocks the liner from disengaging. So it's a lock for the lock. Now you might think that's really awesome, and yeah, it's better than nothing, but you can watch spine whacking tests on these guys, and I have seen these disengage even with that leaf spring lock. You'd see the blade come back like so, like right on their glove, and then you'll see that leaf spring has been disengaged, even though they engaged it before testing. So with enough shock, this thing still can actually slip downwards just because of the amount of impact going into the frame of the knife. I haven't seen that happen with the large Luzon, which has the same exact mechanism, but I think it's just because it's so much bigger, there's literally more steel in that sucker. It's harder to disengage that. But for this medium size, it doesn't translate nearly as well. Yeah, again, it's better than nothing, and you don't lose anything by having it there. It's not automatic, like the auto lock system or anything. It's just manual. Just don't use it if you don't want to use it, Not a big deal. Very nice positive snap. I like the striations in there, Yeah, it's cool. Whatever. But I still would not really consider this a hard use knife. If anything, it's more medium, approaching medium hard. But on top of that, we have a pretty slim blade right here. It's a beautiful looking blade. Classic kind of clip, little fuller in there. Yeah, sure, for a knife this size, it doesn't really matter. But it's a cool design. I don't mind it. I like the satin finish, sure. Let's weigh this real quick. They're saying 3.5 ounces. What do we got? What you got for me, scale? 3.47. Yeah, I'm going to say they're about right on that. Yeah, again, totally acceptable weight. It's a long knife, too, 4 inches on the blade right there. It's not very wide or stout, but it's slim. It's going to be a great piercer. Good belly to work with towards the tip anyway. It's skinny, but the girth of the handle is pretty thick, so it kind of compensates for the fact that it's a skinnier knife. It's not very slim as far as this portion of the handle goes. So you do have a decent chunk to hold on to right there. Ergonomics are okay, but I would not say they're good. I don't like this portion up here with the liner, and I also don't like that liner. I'm going to get into that in just a moment as well. Rounded corners and turns, which makes it a little bit more comfortable, and you can kind of fit your index finger in there, but it still rides up on that bump. So it's kind of comfortable, kind of not really comfortable. This guard right here, I feel like is too low. I wish it was more like up there, or better yet, not there at all. My thumb wants to land right where that guard is on the spine. So I kind of scooch down here, but now my index finger doesn't really know where to go. So now I'm not really taking advantage of that choil, which is obstructed by the liner anyway. It's kind of goofy. They're not the worst ergonomics I've seen. It's totally fine. I'm just kind of bitching at this point, but it's not a melt in your hand comfortable knife either, like a lot of Cold Steels are, and like a lot of other knives are. A lot of Amazon specials coming out these days that got better ergonomics than this thing. They got D2. They also got ball bearings. They got crossbar locks instead of liner locks. Even with the leaf spring, I don't know. It's kind of behind. I just don't. I don't know. I can't warm up to this thing. It's pretty cool and all, and it's a good deal. In fact, let me give you the price right now. On sale on Amazon, anyway. These suckers are going for $28, just under $30. It's currently a sale. You'll see these for more like, a little above like 30 generally. But that's a great deal. If you could score this guy for around $30, hell yeah, go for it. It's not bad. 8CR14 MOV, not the 8CR13 MOV. I don't know why they haven't updated the label yet on the website, but oh well. Yeah, I'm going to say technically it's an upgrade. That one number right there. Yeah, sure, whatever. Again, it's got some cool things going for it conceptually anyway. I like the way it looks, and I like the idea of having the leaf spring on there. But this design doesn't really translate that well to this size. That's my main point here. That's the big problem I have with this thing. Ergonomics, I give it maybe like a C+ at best. I just don't like this guard up here. Just kind of wish that wasn't there. I don't like this main choil. Disengaging, it's a bitch too. That hurts like hell. That little portion right here, that's the only spot you really have available for the tip of your thumb, and it really digs the tip in there. It's not comfortable. Ow. It's not a comfortable knife to disengage or even hold, for that matter. The leaf spring lock is supposed to be a lock for, you know, the liner lock. Liner locks are known to be on the weaker side compared to most folding knives, and it's not a big deal. I don't really care that much. It's a folding knife. Who cares? But even with the lock for the lock, it still does not withstand spine wax. In this configuration anyway. It does pretty well on the big one, not the little one though. It's just kind of an unnecessary feature, I guess. But, you know, I guess it's better than not having it. Really, what this guy's got going for it is price. Yes, it's an okay tactical blade. Yes, it's an okay EDC blade. It'll kind of do a little bit of both. If you just really like the aesthetics of the Luzon and conceptually you like everything going for it, you want the ball bearings, you want that liner lock for whatever reason, and you want that leaf spring lock for whatever reason, and you do want the plastic pocket clip, yeah, sure, it's not bad. It's $30, nothing to really whine about. It's just, I'd rather just spend the extra $8 and get this. I think this is it's just miles above it. Unless size is not what you're looking for. If you don't want this massive blade, because it's huge, it's bigger than most XL size cold steels. It's massive. It's a 6-inch blade, but this design kicks ass. It's so much better. This leaf spring actually works really well. It's comfortable to disengage it just because we have a lot more space to work with right there. My index finger actually kind of fits in that choil a lot better. Yeah, the guard still kind of gets in the way, but I normally don't even hold it that way anyway. I go all the way down here for kind of like a combat martial emergency defensive tool grip. And you can see ATR 13 MOV, just like this used to have as well. I guess it's just a newer model, and they never told us about them changing the steel, whatever. It's interesting. It's basically like they took a large Luzon and threw it in a shrinking machine. But the problem I have with knives that do that is that these ergonomics specifically are designed for this size. It seems like the liner, everything here looks like it's supposed to be designed for this specific size. If you literally shrink down everything and you don't actually like change any of the lines to it and the ergonomics get thrown off, if that makes any sense. So imagine that you had specific finger choils on a big old knife that fits your hand perfectly. Awesome. Now you shrink that sucker down. It's the miniature version. You have the same amount of choils on there that are also smaller. Now your fingers don't actually fit in any of them, and you're kind of just riding up in between the choils. You ever experience that? The mini Boker Kalashnikovs? That's kind of what this little one's making me think of. Like, it's just, they didn't change the design. They literally just shrunk it down, and now it doesn't translate very well. That's kind of what I'm getting at this thing. Not very comfortable. It's a liner lock, and that's terrible to disengage. I don't like that at all. The leaf spring lock doesn't work very well when it's this small, apparently, for whatever reason. It's cheap. It's cheap, and the heat treatment on the steel is good. It'll be an okay defensive blade. Yeah, sure, you got 4 inches of blade to work with. It's going to pierce through with ease. Very little resistance on there. It's a good blade style. It'll be a pretty good EDC knife, too, because it's lightweight and it's not too big, and it's kind of on the slimmer side, but you got a lot to hold on to there overall. For the price, it's nothing really to complain about unless you just compare it directly to the large one or a lot of the other cheapos coming out on Amazon. I just don't see why you'd pick this one, again, unless you're specifically going for these aesthetics. That's about it. It's unfortunate. I just can't warm up to it, man. It's one of the few cold steels I got that I'm actually kind of disappointed with. But hey, it's not $90, some bullshit price like that. It's cheap, so I can't really complain anyway. My advice, if this interests you, get the large one. Just for $8 more, dude. $8 more for this sucker right here. That's a really good deal. That's a good knife, the large. I'd steer clear of the medium one. Maybe unless you already have a large, you just want a little one to go with it. So you got like a daddy and son kind of thing going on just for the sake of having it in the collection, I suppose. Like maybe you already collect a whole bunch of other big cold steels and you also want the smaller variants on them. Like you got the Raja 2, you also have the Raja 3, you got the Espada large, and you dug up an Espada medium on eBay somewhere because they don't make those anymore. You got a Counterpoint XL and you got a Counterpoint large and maybe even the one beneath that size, etc. Yeah, sure, throw it in the collection. It's cheap. Why not? I would never pick this one for any reason, honestly. That's it. That's the cold steel Luzon medium. What do you think of this knife? Do you actually like it? Do you specifically carry this one? Are there any advantages I missed on this knife? Let me know in the comments down below. It's always interesting to hear what you guys have to say, and I always learn something from you. Thank you so much for watching. Mannix out.